Hello everyone, welcome to another session of ELSAConnect. Today we have with us Swati Krishna Saran, filmmaker, photographer, storyteller, theatre person. Swati is one of the most dynamic people I've met, and I'm very happy to be introducing her today. I first met Swati at an ELSA lunch in 2017. She was sitting a little bit ahead of me, and I thought this person looked familiar. I said, "Oh, you're Swati. You came for my film screening a few weeks ago." And she said, "No." I said, "No, but then you sent me a Facebook friend request." She said, "Yes, yes, yes. I meant to come for the film screening, but I couldn't. But I really wanted to be friends, and I thought I must send you a friend request anyway." And ever since, we have been friends. So, friends, welcome Swati Sharan. Swati graduated from LSR English Honours class of 1998 and went straight to Bombay to embark on her very adventurous journey. Swati, over to you.
Thank you, Sandhya. Thank you for your kind words and for your friendship. And welcome to you all. Thank you for making the time to attend this talk today. And I would like to congratulate Vandana for this really brilliant effort. I've been watching some talks on YouTube because I've missed so many of them, and it's just such a delight. And you can just feel the sense of community and all the energy and the enthusiasm that Neelu brings. And I've been seeing Sandhya presenting, and it's just been really wonderful. So thank you for having me here today. So Sandhya gave me a call a couple of weeks ago, and she said, Swati, you should come and do a talk for ELSAConnect. And I was like, what am I going to talk about? I mean, there's nothing to talk about. And she said, no, everybody says that, but you've done so much, so I'm sure there's something. And I just said, like, really? And then, I started thinking about what was the overarching theme in my life. And it actually turned out to be that I've never had a plan. So it's just like, I know that people have dreams and they have goals, and they work to achieve those goals and dreams. But for me, I've never had anything like that. Like, from the start, I've always just gone with the flow, and just seen where life takes me. And that has really been the biggest blessing, I think, for me when I look back, because the kind of experiences I've had in my life and the kind of people I've met, I don't think I would have ever ended up, having those experiences if I'd planned them. Life has taken me on the biggest adventure, something that I couldn't have even dreamt of. So where should I start? I start from my childhood. I had a very interesting childhood. My father was posted in Lagos. My mother's family was settled in the Netherlands. So we spent a lot of time traveling. From the time I was born, we would travel to the US, we would travel to Europe. So there was a lot of exposure to different cultures at a very young age. My mother's an artist, so there was always that slight, artistic inclination. My father is a hopeless romantic, so I think I get a bit of my romanticism from him. And then the coup happened in 1984, and we moved back to India. So my years in Lucknow, my parents belong to Lucknow. That's where we came back. Were quite uneventful. I would say I lived a very protected childhood there. But I think there was a very conscious exposure to art and culture and poetry and good food, just by virtue of the kind of place that Lucknow is and the people that live there. So I think it was all just kind of in the background, but somewhere it kind of grew on me. And I used to write poetry when I was 8 and 9, and my mom has these diaries, of me having written all that poetry, which I didn't even know I had. So I think the seeds of creativity were somewhere kind of, sown subconsciously from the start by virtue of the exposure that I had, and the people that I was exposed to, the life experiences I was exposed to. We would do these driving trips from the Netherlands to Italy, and visit a lot of churches and museums. So all of that kind of somewhere, inspired my aesthetic in a way. Yeah. And then LSR happened. So I had taken science in my 11th and 12th because my mom wanted me to pursue medicine. Her brothers, who were settled in the Netherlands, were doctors and scientists. So I just took science in the 11th and the 12th, but I think my heart always belonged to the arts. So I loved reading, I loved poetry, and I think somewhere my father recognized that, and he was like, you should just do what you want. And so I applied to LSR for English literature. Because my mom's elder sister lived very close to the college, that was the only college I applied to. And of course, I got through LSR and I was in the hostel. I think it was the first time I stepped out of that protected life that I had lived with my parents in a small town. And it was really wonderful because, I got to meet these beautiful people from, all over the country and made some really, really great bonds, with people. And I've got a bunch of pictures and we'll probably go through those at some point. Friends who I've been in touch with and, we met even last year. I've been meeting them over the last few years. So we've maintained those bonds. Right. So talking about the creative life and being open to people and possibilities. Like I said, I think my life has been a life that has very little planning attached to it. I've always just gone with what somebody suggested and they said, why don't you try this? And I'd be like, why not? Like, let's do it. So when somebody said, you like reading, why don't you try literature? And I'm like, okay, let's give English literature a shot. Yeah, Shafiqi? I think Shafiqi is trying to say something.
No, go
We
ahead.
have 2 Sanjaris on screen.
Okay. Okay. I think she must have logged in from 2 devices.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Swati, carry on, please.
So, Sandhya, do you want to kind of lead the conversation in?
Yeah, sure. So do you want to begin with first maybe the creative tasks that you started? So you went to Sapphires from LSR, and
Yes.
then you started working in both Bollywood as well as international documentary.
Correct.
And you did that for several years. And at the same time, you also got married, had a baby. And so you had very action-packed years in Mumbai.
Right. So I can talk a little bit about that. So I came to Sapphires again because after English honors, everyone's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll just go to Bombay and I'll apply in Sapphires. My mom's younger sister was there. And so she was very happy for me to go and study somewhere where she knew someone, where there was a family member. And I applied to Sapphires. I got through Sapphires. It was a really intense 1-year course where we studied film and TV and radio and communications research. And at the end of it, we all had to choose an internship. And I was quite active with photography in college, and everyone thought that that's what I was going to pursue. But unfortunately, it wasn't known to be a very well-paid profession at that point of time. Somebody came and said, oh, we went for this event and there's this lady I met and, they're looking for somebody to work with the celebrity chat show. So would you be interested? And I was like, why not? Okay, great. Sounds fab. And that started my journey on my very first job, Movers and Shakers for Sony Entertainment Television back in 1999. I did 300 episodes of that show. It was a daily show, so it was like pretty grueling. We used to shoot, we used to do rehearsals in the morning, we used to shoot in the afternoons, we used to edit in the night, master early morning, and get back to work. So this was my schedule for like 365 days.
Yeah.
That year, but it's the best time that I had. Like I hardly earned any money. I think I got a stipend of 2,500 rupees or something at that point of time. But I got to meet celebrities from all walks of life. And, my job was to deal with them on a one-on-one basis, get all the information, draft their interviews for Shekhar Suman to, conduct on the show. And that exposure was amazing because I met people from like such diverse kinds of people, like somebody from Ustad Allah Rakha to a Kiran Bedi, to a Shobha Day, to a Shah Rukh Khan. And these were people I was meeting on a daily basis, right? So I think I really, like by the end of that first year on the job, I had celeb fatigue and how, because I was just like, I don't want to meet another celebrity. Because it was just like day in and day out, which was it was great in a way, but some you had good and bad experiences. Some of them used to be really high maintenance, and you would just be like, oh God, like when are they going to leave? But by and by, it was a great experience. And at the same time, a friend of mine was working for Kaun Banega Crorepati. She was a producer on the show, and she said, there's this BBC crew that's come to do behind the scenes today at the show, and they're looking for a researcher to do this really cutting edge, like new series for BBC UK, which shows like the contemporary culture in India, because everybody thinks India is the land of like snakes and elephants, so they really just want to break that image, and it's going to be a really fun series. And I think it would be perfect to do a show like that. And I was like, okay, why not? So I kind of, moved on to that. It was a fantastic experience. We had the entire crew come down from the UK, and we were doing stories about gay couples and transgenders, back then, like 20 years ago. And it was really interesting to be part of a project that showed a different side to India that, the world hadn't seen. And the show did really well in the UK. They came back the following year, and I became an associate producer on the show. So for 2 years, we were just kind of looking for these interesting stories all across India and doing these short features. And that's how my accidental journey into the whole, international documentary circuit began. Because once the crew went back, they would just recommend my name to other productions that wanted to shoot in India. And I just kept getting projects one after the other. I did shows for BBC Two. I did a show for Channel 4. Which was with a very famous comedian called Bernard Manning. He's no more, he passed a couple of years ago. So he was known to be, very famous for his racist jokes. And this was a challenge for him to come down to India and make the very people that he made fun of laugh. So we had this series of events that we planned, at the Bombay Gymkhana and several other places. And it was quite an interesting, kind of factual series for me to do. And many other such projects followed. I did a show for National Geographic. I did a film for Oxford Film and Television, which starred Om Puri, Parminder Nagra. That was shot between London and Calcutta. So that again was a very interesting experience. And during this time, I also got married. So I met my husband, through my cousin, and we started dating, and we got married. So this whole circuit, the whole documentary circuit kind of took me from one job to the other, and I continued doing those shoots. And then again, one day I bumped into a friend, and he was like, listen, we're working on this film with Salman Khan, and the entire film is going to be shot in Russia, like start to finish, and we're hiring a Russian production crew. So with your experience working with, foreign productions, I think this would be a great job for you to do. And I was like, yeah, I'm a bit bored of doing this, and sounds great. So come on, I'll do it. And we had a really small Indian crew that traveled to St. Petersburg to shoot the film. And I was part of the crew. And it took almost about a year, because we spent a month in December recceing for locations and like about minus 20 degrees. So there was like an awful lot of snow, and we had to like wear these like 6 layers of clothes and like go looking for locations, which was fun. And then we shot the film from February to June of 2000 and 2004. So it's like, it was so beautiful. You had white nights. So there used to be sunlight till about 11 or 12 in the night, and we would continue shooting. And we were all staying in the same hotels. Salman would spend a lot of time with us, and it was just all fun and games. The Russians were really amazing. It was a very liberal, very open culture, and I learned to speak a bit of Russian. And after shoot, I would kind of hunt the underground scene with the Russian friends, go to all the clubs, and see what was happening kind of in the city, like how the locals lived and what they did. And it was just one of the most memorable experiences that I had.
Swati, did you ever get a break in these years, or was it just moving from one project to the other? Did you ever have time to stop and think, or maybe take a decision on what it is that you wanted to do next?
Actually, I had a lot of breaks. So the whole reason why this whole freelance life appealed to me was that I could take as many breaks as I liked. So I would work on projects which were really intense, like, which would go on from anything from 3 months to 9 months, and were like full-time, non-stop. And then I could take a breather to travel with my husband. He was flying international with Air India at that time. So I would just take on at the spur of the moment, on these trips. to San Francisco or to New York or to LA or like wherever he was flying. We would just do these short trips. So I had a lot of breaks in between. I think it's a way of life that becomes very was kind of addictive to me, because I was able to just immerse myself into a project and just do that, and then have time to spend time with the family, travel, do whatever I wanted. So I could pick and choose my work.
I recall you telling me that when Karma, your daughter, was born, that was kind of a much longer break than you intended to take. And how were those years in Bombay?
So that was actually a really hard time for me, I'd say, because I was one of the only ones in my friend circle who was married at that time and had a baby at the time. And everybody else was kind of rising up in their careers and doing exciting work. And my husband was flying, so I was the primary caregiver for my daughter, and I just had to be there, for her. So I did try and do a few shoots. I used to travel with her in that little carrier, and somehow I managed to do a couple of shoots, but then it became increasingly difficult, and I had to kind of work had to take a back seat. So it was really hard, and I think it was also a bit lonely, because I was all by myself. All my close friends were working, doing really well in their careers. People were heading channels, networks at that point of time, starting their own production houses, and I was kind of just there with the baby. I had no I don't know what to do with the baby, because I had no friends who had kids, and everything was just watching other people and learning. So I think only once she started play school and I started interacting with other mothers, I really started to figure out how to raise her and what to do, because I just didn't know. And my husband was flying, I was all alone. So I think it was really hard.
What brought you to Bangalore? You moved to Bangalore 5 years ago.
So my husband moved jobs. He's from Bangalore. So he moved from Air India to Indigo, and we thought it was a good time to kind of reconnect with the family. His parents are growing old, and Bangalore is such a fantastic city. We just felt it was much better quality of life as a family. So that's how I decided to move here in 2015.
And from your positive words, I think it's been an exciting journey in Bangalore as well. And I think you've taken on a lot of personal projects after you moved to Bangalore.
Right.
That was Sacred Spaces, your first project. Yeah.
Right. So Sacred Spaces, again, the whole move to Bangalore was just at the spur of the moment. I didn't know what I was going to do here. I didn't speak the language. I was heading NDTV's production house, Red Dot, just before I moved to Bangalore. And I just kind of decided to give it all up one day, because travel from Bangalore to Bombay was getting really difficult for me to manage, especially in business development, where people would say, okay, I'm free for a meeting at 4 o'clock, and I'm like, hey, but I'm in Bangalore, I need to catch a flight and come. So that became a little difficult. But I just moved here just with a positive mindset, thinking that whatever happens, I'll find something to do, and I'll keep myself mentally engaged. So I connected with a friend from Sophia's who was into theater, and we just met up for lunch, and she was like, actually, there's not much for you to do here, but I think there's definitely an option to create your own opportunity. So we decided to get a whole bunch of artists together and produce our own show called Bangalore Espresso, which was just everybody brought to the table a passion project. And then we just kind of self-funded it, and we just put together this 90-minute show for everyone at Rangoli Metro Theatre, and it was a huge success. So as a part of that show, I did a series called Sacred Spaces, which was a series of photo essays of different kinds of people in Bangalore and what places were special to them, and for what reason. And these were a lot of them were very emotional stories, to do with their childhood, or why, the kind of memories those places brought out for them. And for me, it was a great way to learn about the city, to meet new people, to really get under the skin and try to understand what is the culture of Bangalore, how are the people of Bangalore. And that was a really fantastic experience. And we continue to do several versions of this show. Then I was also acting, and I was writing plays, I was directing, I acted in a few plays. So I think that journey kind of started in Bangalore, and I've managed to maintain that over the last 5 years. Every year I pick up a personal project and I work on that. So that's been very fulfilling for me.
I mean, in the last few months, you did this very kind of beautiful project, Gift of Corona. While everybody was, I think, complaining, anxious, scared of what the coronavirus was going to bring to their life, Swati said, okay, this is a time to really pause and reflect and look at the positive side of Corona. So Swati, can you talk about that?
Yeah. So the thing about all these personal projects is I always just follow my curiosity. Like I don't have a plan. Even when we were building our house in Bangalore, I used to travel to the site and I used to observe a lot of African students along the way. And that used to really intrigue me, why there's so many students here and, what are they doing? And I kind of just used to take my camera, start talking to people, start shooting interviews. Like I made friends with the salon owner in the neighborhood. Set up my camera there and talk to these people, shoot the interviews, just trying to understand the ecosystem. Like who are these people around me, and what are they doing? And similarly, Gift of Corona again. Like I was very very busy during the time the Corona outbreak started. We were developing a show for an OTT. So I was working for about 4 to 5 hours every day on Zoom calls with the writers team. And I used to get very tired because I was doing the housework and I was doing these calls and working out and everything. And every time somebody would call me to have a chat, they would just complain, right? They were like, "Arey, like we're stuck here, and when is this gonna get over? And we're so frustrated." And I was just like, first of all, I don't have any time. I'm so pressed for time. I'm so busy. And every time somebody calls me, they just have something negative to say. Like I started avoiding people's calls. I was like, somebody's calling me and I just like wouldn't take the call. And then I said, there's so much to be pleased about. Like at least for me, my personal experience was, I had never spent so much time with my husband before, with my family before. It's the first time in, 17, 18 years that we were all stuck in the same place, for such a long time. And we learned to negotiate our way around each other. We learned to function as a family. We were sharing chores. We became so much more mindful about our eating. We were exercising. I think it was such a productive time for me. And I was like, why is everybody else not feeling like that? Like, I'm just feeling so fantastic. And, I feel my productivity levels have become so high during this time, because I'm not traveling and not doing anything. That's such a fabulous thing that's happened. And, the whole environment is resetting. And what are people complaining about? So I just started this personal project saying, okay, let me talk to my friends and see what is the one positive thing they can think about from this time that's happened. Like how can we just give a positive twist to this whole event that's happened? So I started the series called The Gift of Corona, in which I just started chatting with friends and even people, acquaintances on Facebook saying, think about something that's been life-changing for you during this time. Like when you look back 10 years from now, like how will you associate this time? Will you think of the dreadful things that happened, or is there something that you remember like, right, something bad happened, but this is like the great takeaway that I had. And I did about 20 stories. I used to post one story every day, either as, photographs which I shot on the webcam, or as little videos which I created. And everybody had something different to share, like exactly like Sacred Spaces. It was just everybody's story was so diverse. A friend who's a producer with the BBC in London, she actually caught COVID in March. And she came out of it, and her takeaway was like, every year, like I spend so much time working in television, like day in and day out. I don't get to see people. I don't get to interact with so many people. But this year, the number of people who wished for me for my birthday is unparalleled. Like, it just made me feel so special that, like so many people remember me and I have so many friends. So there were just all these little takeaways. Some people learn to connect with their kids. There's a friend, who started studying Hitchcock movies because, she was planning to do that for the longest time. And, she decided to do that during Corona. So we recreated a scene from Psycho, for her. So every little story was kind of shared in a different way. And, people started looking forward to those stories saying, we just wait for what is going to be the story for today, like that little pop of positivity, So, so that was really exciting to do as well.
I think it's been an amazing journey, Swati. I'm already feeling so inspired and thinking that, okay, now this has to be my most productive time as well. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I have 2 little ones and a puppy now. It still has to be my most productive.
Yeah.
So Swati, may I open the floor to questions? And along with questions, if you want to share some photos, you may do that also. I'll leave it up to you. Maybe let's take a few questions and see how
time left in the end. I can just, do a quick
take us through that. Yeah, sure. Okay. I'll just open the floor because there are a few of us. Anyone can just ask their question, please.
Nobody's asking. I'll come in, Swati. You know me. Acha, why didn't you share your mother's story? The one the sari one.
Mhm.
The one you shared with all of us during the annual dinner, the sari one about your mom.
That's right.
That's so inspirational. Please share that one.
Sure. So my mom actually lost her parents when she was 10 years old. So she had 3 older brothers. She had 2 sisters. My maternal grandfather was a freedom fighter. My grandmother was a teacher, and my mother was a very feisty and independent young girl. You know, my other 2 Masis never worked, but my mother was always working. She was an artist and she was an art teacher. She was very enterprising. She would always find ways of selling her artwork and making money and all of that. So even when we went to Lagos, she used to work as an art teacher in Lagos. And after we came back, she started a salon. I think because somewhere like within the family, because there's always been an inclination to doing some kind of social work, she was like, this is a great opportunity for me to train these young girls who live around the house, to become independent. And she started, convincing the families of these Muslim girls who came from very conservative families to come and learn from her in the salon. And she started teaching them personal grooming, and then she started employing them within the salon. And for my wedding, the sari that I wore for the annual day was embroidered by these girls as a thank you present, to my mom for what she had, done for them over the years. So yeah, that's the story about the sari.
Lovely, lovely. Shafige has a question, Swati.
Yes, Shafige, style mom.
Swati, tell us a bit about your daughter
Okay,
and your relationship with her.
So she's a teenager now. The relationship is, I think, like how moms have with all their teenagers. But I mean, having said that, we are very, very different. She's nothing like me. She thinks that I'm like hyper energetic and I just want to do so many things all the time. And she's like, I just couldn't be bothered. Mom, you do whatever you want. Just like leave me and don't ask me to do anything, right? I'm okay with you doing whatever you want. So if you want to go out of town on a shoot, like don't worry about me, I'll manage. But I think the great thing about us is that we have great communication, and she can talk to me about anything. Like, she'll just come, like sometimes like, we like swear in our conversations, and we'll just talk shit, and we'll sit and eat junk food. Even her friends, like a lot of them would like, they just want to come and hang. They're like, oh, I have something to discuss. Can I call your mom? Like, your mom, like, help me out. And so it's quite sweet. I think it's kind of a nice relationship. We're more like friends, actually. More like siblings, actually, not even friends who bicker and fight but have to still kind of make it work.
Yeah, the question.
So actually, I met Swati. We have various connections, but I first met her through a Buddhism forum, right? Swati, that was an experiment that Swati also tried. But in Buddhism, we talk about life force a lot, which is your inner sort of desire to really stay at that higher plane. And Swati, I've somehow found that you've always had that life force, though you are not an active practitioner. I don't think you are, right, anymore. Yeah. So tell me, where does that where does that energy come from? Because I find, at least as I'm gaining the years, somehow the cynicism and the negativity seems to be taking a deeper root. So how do you break through what could be periods of darkness? I mean, what's your sort of remedy for that?
I don't know where I derived that energy from, Paramit. And to be honest with you guys, I've been suffering from insomnia through the time COVID started. So I've literally not slept properly for the last 3.5 months. Like I get just a few hours of sleep every few days, but I'm just on the go all the time. I don't know. I just feel like, because I'm a person who lives in the present so much, like I never have a plan. I never know what I'm doing tomorrow. I don't have any goals. I'm just so happy every day with whatever's happening with my life at that moment. Like if I see a flower, I just feel so happy. If I see a bird chirping or listen to a bird chirping, I feel so happy. So I just feel like life is such a celebration, right? And every day is such a gift, that you should just try and be happy with, you know, whatever's around you, with the food you're eating, with what you're wearing. If you're wearing a lipstick, like wear it with joy, and just try to keep yourself in a state of higher energy, you know. And I think that's really what it is.
And that, and you're always well turned out, Swati. I've yet to see you have a bad hair day or have a bad. I mean, I remember the first time I met you, I was like, oh my God, I am such a frump.
Rubbish, Parvita, please.
She's my favorite. She's my favorite Elsa model.
Thank you, Sanjani.
Most welcome.
I have, thank you, Sandhya. Swati, when you're talking about the birds chirping and, you know, watching the flora, fauna all around, I know you built your own home and you had shared that, you know, it's all sustainable. I'd like you to talk about that, and also a little bit on yoga, because I see amazing pictures of you doing yoga, all the asanas. So can you speak about both these?
Sure. So, so my home, we started building our home in 2017. And my husband's, again, got very eclectic interests. Like he's, you know, into ham radio, he's into biking. Of course, he's a pilot, he loves to fly. And his father's a mechanical engineer. So, you know, when we were building the house, we started thinking about all the things we could incorporate in making the house as sustainable as possible. So the house is completely solar powered, and all of this is my husband's doing. Me is just the decoration. So, so the house is completely solar powered. You know, we decided to put our own sewage treatment plant within the house so that we were conserving water, and that water, you know, feeds into the gardens and to the flushes. So we're actually one of the few households in the layout that uses a tanker very sparingly. Because, you know, we're able to conserve so much water. You know, we use a dishwasher to wash dishes because it uses less water. So in every way, we've like tried to see what can we do to conserve energy, you know, be more self-sustaining. The flooring in the house is completely handmade. You know, we've used these cement tiles called Apanguri tiles, which are very difficult to maintain, but look beautiful and are very eco-friendly. And, you know,
different tiles in every room. Yeah.
And we have different tiles in every room. I can show you guys some pictures of the house. And yeah, and we're growing our own vegetables now. So, you know, we are self-sustaining in terms of food. My husband's taken to gardening and farming in a big way during COVID. So that's again been fantastic. So that's about the house. We live in a lovely place. Anu Ganpati also lives in the same neighborhood. You know, so it's a very peaceful place, full of mango trees and, you know, a lot of you know, monkeys and parrots and, you know, this and that. So just it's really nice. And with regards to yoga, Vinny, I think again, I feel like I get bored very quickly. So I have to keep doing like several things at the same time. So after I get tired of running, you know, a few days I'll do yoga, then I get into high intensity training. So again, for me, yoga has been one consistent practice over the years, because I feel it gives me the time to really connect with myself and my body. And the best thing about yoga is you can do it at your own pace and at your own comfort. Like, you know, you don't have to really follow a training program. If you're feeling tired, you have to keep going at it. For me, the flexibility that yoga affords is something which has really worked. I've really been able to sustain that over the years.
Can I come in?
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah, so Swati, this whole thing of, you know, when I saw your poster, why not? I said, no, what's you going to say? But that's so true when you started speaking of all the opportunities of why not. And I still remember anytime you called her up and she would say, yeah, sure, why not? Now I can get back the thing. And if all of us remember, of course, the life tree, all of us, of course, brainstormed it, but it just came out from her, you know, said, why not a tree of life? But more importantly, I think the post-annual dinner, I think we just said we need to all party, and everybody wanted to party, and she says, yeah, I'll handle it. And, you know, it was so beautiful. I mean, of course, she took us far end of the world or whatever, Bangalore. But the fact is, you know, the why not comes in extremely beautifully now. You know, I can feel you saying it all the time. Even I think this talk where she's traveling, and you never have a no, it's always a why not, you know. So it's making complete sense of how you chose these two beautiful words. A big hug to you, and there's so many lovely moments we have spent. And I think my question was the same as Vandana, who, I thought you would share about your house, but you already shared a bit about it. So
I also wanted to add, there was a brief time that I worked with the EC during the annual dinner last year. And it was a very, very special time for me. I think I learned so much from everybody. Vandana, you especially, you're such a, you're so inspiring. You're really somebody to kind of look up to and emulate. Nilu's energy. Shafi, we bonded in a big way. And I had a great time, working with you guys on the annual dinner. It was a really special time for me, even though it was short.
We have
you
some
want to
time.
show us a snap, Sandhya? I think we can.
Photographs and
Shall I share those?
yeah.
Yes, look forward to that. Thank you.
I can scroll. Okay, let me figure how.
All together now, no problem.
Yeah, cool. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a picture of my mom and dad from the year that I was born in Nigeria. And it's a very favorite picture because, I relate to my mom's independence and, my dad's romanticism. And I think, they're so happy in this moment, it's a very special picture for me. And I see what I get from both of them whenever I see this picture. Sorry, how do I go to the next one? Yeah. Oh, did I do something wrong? Help, Sandhya.
Press with three fingers.
Press
Three fingers.
Oh, it's gone. Hang
So
on.
arrow.
Do it again. Don't worry. Just take your time.
Share screen. There's only one picture here, Sandhya, for some reason.
Okay, had you opened all of them and review and kept? That's what he was saying, no? And Rishi was taking you through all of them.
Okay, hang on. Tell me what to do. So I just select all of them.
Yeah, if you select all of them and you can say Command O, all of them will open and
I
review.
do Command A, yeah.
Command A and then Command O.
And Command O, okay.
Yeah, now you can share screen.
Can you see it now?
You have to share screen again. I think you stopped sharing.
How do I do that?
Go to the bottom green thing. You can see in Zoom.
1 second.
In Zoom. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, we see it. Yeah.
So that's a picture of me. I think the love for the camera was evident quite early. This is one of my nanny that I was really, really close to and very possessive about, my mom says. Her name was Agnes. This is from LSR. That was what my room looked like. And that's Radhika. She is now the personal secretary to the chief minister in Uttarakhand, and we've stayed in touch. You can see how colorful my room is. I have all these posters and all of them going on the back. But she wanted me to study for the IAS as well, but all I wanted to do was party and have a good time. So, so that's me. That's the three of us during LSR. And that's the three of us last year. We met after 20 years. So it was really nice. That's Natasha, who was one of our seniors, very close friend. We've been together for a long time. She's in New York now, and I met her last year as well. Okay. How do I go back? Sandhya.
What were you pressing? Were you pressing arrow? The arrow?
I was pressing the arrow, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oops, my video.
Inspirating. Okay, let me see if I can open this with you and try it again. Can you see it now? No, not yet.
Share
Open it, and once you open it, you press share screen. Once you see it, and then you do share screen.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you see them now?
Yes.
So I'll just kind of scroll quickly. This is a picture from Movers and Shakers. That's from one of my early BBC shows. That was my producer. That's my husband, not from a few years ago. That's some pictures on Lucky with Salman, and we shot these elaborate scenes with tanks and these action scenes with cars and like blowing up stuff. And we got this really old engine, and the snow had started melting, so we had to get these snow machines to build all the snow. So it was quite an exciting time. Working on the film. I had a great time. You can see I'm jumping around with the crew, and partying in the nights. That's when my daughter was born. It's one of the early pictures. So this is from one of the shoots. I used to take her on a carrier and I used to go for these shoots. This was in Jaisalmer. So I tried to do that for a bit, but it got really difficult. Then we were just traveling a lot. I used to travel a lot with my daughter when she was young. I used to go on all these adventure trips here and there. That's what she looks like now. So she's taller than me. She's grown a bit since. This was connecting with Pranoy after a long time, when I was working for Red Dot. Recently I met him, so I wanted to share that picture. This is from Sacred Spaces, some of the stories that I've done. And it was covered in the papers, it used to come as an audio visuals. I was able to share that for a lot of shows. This was the theatre group that I used to perform with. I did a few plays, so these are pictures from those. I started biking in Bangalore, riding quite regularly because my husband's a biker, and I said, why not? Why shouldn't I learn how to ride a bike? And I started riding a bike. This is my house. This is what we built, trying to use as many sustainable. That's me in one of my quirky saris, and that's the door that I wanted to share with you guys. So we've tried to use, as many old things as possible, like the doors on the house are all recycled from my husband's father's, parents' home. The slats on the staircase are 100-year-old pieces, so wherever we could find stuff that we could recycle, we used. We've left kind of bricks there in the house. So these are all the solar panels we have on top. This is all the growing that we've been doing. And I wanted to share some pictures from the time that I love this picture, Madhulika and me. I don't know what we're laughing about, but I wanted to share this with you guys. This is from the annual dinner. Sandhya, that's you. This is from the lunch that we had after the annual dinner. This is again continuing some performances here and there. This was from the Gift of Corona series, this couple of samples from what we did. So this is the friend that was revisiting Hitchcock, and we recreated the scene. And I want to actually end, with this, piece from Helena Bonham Carter that actually Shafige sent me for my birthday last year. And I think it's so relevant to everything that I do. I think everything in life is art. What you do, how you dress, the way you love someone and how you talk, your smile and your personality, what you believe in and all your dreams, the way you drink your tea, how you decorate your home or party, your grocery list, the food you make, how your writing looks, and the way you feel life is art. So I think I truly believe that. And thank you for sharing this, Shafigi.
Thank you, Swati. I actually saw that on your Instagram yesterday, and I was thinking that.
Yeah, I actually dug that out, and I was like, Shafigi sent this to me, and it's so beautiful. Every time I read it, it just makes me smile, and I think it's so true for life.
Thank you. Any further questions? I think we have another 5 minutes.
Yeah, Swati, I have one. How's your, I remember you took the 60-day challenge on not shopping. How is that working out for you?
That is not working out well for me at all. I think during those 60 days, I think I kept to the challenge because I'd given my word and I didn't shop. But the thing with me is, I'm just such a lover of beautiful things. Like when I see something beautiful, I'm just like, oh, this is so beautiful. And I just love to have this and like see this every day or like wear this, I think that joy is like so important to me that I think any kind of ethic kind of takes a backseat. Yeah, so I'm not doing too well with that. It's better. It's not that bad.
It makes you happy and you enjoy it. So I think that's...
Yeah, I love it. And I'm just like, this is such a short life. Like, what am I going to think? Like, those are the things I did not buy, like when I was like 40 years old, or like, will I just like really enjoy? And I think it's also being a part of an ecosystem. Like I buy a lot of sustainable products. Like I support a lot of artists, independent designers, jewelry makers, and I feel you have to feed back into the system. They create these pieces of work with so much of love, and you need someone to appreciate it and to wear it. and to get back into the system, so that they can continue doing creative work. So I see it like that.
Yeah, I would call it mindful consumerism and not just like blanket consumerism. Yeah,
So all my friends who usually have stalls at these different events like Soul Sundays and all, they're like, we just love Swati because she always come and she always buys stuff, like whether she needs it or not. Because I feel it's important to support people who are doing something creative, so that they can keep going.
yeah. Great.
Shahana, are you there? May I invite you to announce?
Yes, I have been here right from the beginning. Would I miss Swati?
Sahana, you've been very quiet.
That's why, yeah, we're wondering.
I'm trying. Personality change being called for. No, I still remember Swati coming into the meetings that we had before the annual dinner, and every day I think, what is she going to wear today? And her clothes were not only artistic and beautiful, but they were also unique, because a lot of it was spent in me trying to figure out how to label it. Is this a kurta pajama? Is this a one of those dungarees? Is it what? But of course she looked gorgeous no matter what you call it. Okay, people, I just wanted to announce the next session, and I hope very much that you all will be there. It's a session that I will be chatting with Prerna Sinha. She's a history honors graduate from LSR, and she will be talking to us about her love for photography. And, like Swati, she also seems to have had a very, very checkered career, doing many, many things. I will be posting a short introduction and a poster for her tomorrow morning. But it'll be interesting. And Neelu kind of shoveled me into this, like she has shoveled me into many things. And in my conversations with Prerna, I don't really know her at all, but in my conversations with her, I get a glimpse of a very interesting person with very diverse activities that she has filled her life with. She's filled her life with work, she's filled her life with creativity, she's filled her life with purpose and meaning. And I think it'll be interesting if all of you would be there to share that journey. And I look forward to seeing you on Thursday then. That's it.
Thank you, Shana. Swati, there's a request from Anuradha for a piece of your shairi. I don't want to put you in a spot, but if there is something you're happy and ready to share with, then please.
Okay. What should I share? I'll share something. एक सुराख है मेरे अंदर, एक सुराख है मेरे अंदर जैसे दीमक सी लगी हो, या शायद उन लफ्जों ने खुरीदा होगा जो हम बयां ना कर सके.
अरे वाह, beautiful.
Tell us some more, please. Wow, wow. It's beautiful, Isha. Yeah, I mean, आदत नहीं रही. मजा आ गया.
उम्मीदों से ना बांधो हमें, उम्मीदों से ना बांधो हमें, कहीं उनकी आदत ना लग जाए. उम्मीदों से ना बांधो हमें, कहीं उनकी आदत ना लग जाए. मरने की आदत तो हो चुकी बहुत, मरने की आदत तो हो चुकी बहुत, अब कहीं जीने की लत ना लग जाए.
हाय हाय, तो रही है तू यार, जीने की लत तो सबको लगा दी है.
Swati, Chupa Rustam, we have no idea about this side of you at all.
Vandana, जीने की लत. She talks about जीने की लत. सबको जीने की लत तो लगा दी है ना अभी बैठ के.
लगा दी, yes, beautiful, thank you, lovely.
और please बंद मत करो, थोड़ा we have 5 minutes.
I know, we should have one session of shairi alone.
Yes.
Where she's going, I
Should
think
have
you're
an
enjoying
open
listening
mic.
to her shairi.
Yeah.
Yes,
Let's
we
do
need
it,
an
Shana,
open
we'll
mic.
plan it.
I have to try to remember what I did.
चल show off मत कर, चल बोल. Start.
Okay, I'll tell you one recent one. बूंद बूंद हूँ उस पानी की तरह जो अपने को किसी भी सांचे में ढाल ले, बट आस जगाए रखती है सिर्फ अपने समुंदर से मिलने की.
Very nice, very nice.
Very nice.
Thank you. I think इतना ही याद है मुझे अभी. I have to scratch my brains a little bit.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Any more surprises, Swati?
What kind of surprise do you like,
The
Krishna?
Shairi was certainly a pleasant surprise. I hadn't a clue.
Yeah, we could just do a session of Shairi with you, Swati. That would be so lovely.
Yeah, थोड़ी और लिखनी पड़ेंगी मुझे.
Isn't Smita?
Oh, have you written it all?
एक हो जाए स्वाति जाते जाते.
I know, one for the road, Swati.
इतनी दूर की सोचे कहाँ, इतनी दूर की सोचे कहाँ कि दिल ही छोड़ चला हमें. जिस दिन ढूंढने निकलेंगे कसूरवार भी मिल जाएगा.
अरे
वाह 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 वाह.
Is Smita around? Is Smita around here? Is she on today?
Yeah, she was. She was, but not
we
now.
have a whole new collection now. Now we know the next series, Shairi ki.
Yeah.
Now you can go to Western Ghats and shoot.
Yeah, I know. I'm like being dragged into this leech-ridden, landslide, flood-ridden area. I don't know whether I'm going to come back or not, but yeah.
Chichi, don't say such things.
We love to see. We love to see how you dress there. Okay, send us pictures with gumboots.
I have to wear these leech socks and like I don't know what. I haven't planned yet.
Maybe you'll write some more Shairi sitting over there for us.
If I have the time, yeah, definitely I would love to.
You don't have to write. You have to think, and maybe you come back and just tell us.
I'm sure Swati is going to find inspiration
Yeah,
she is wherever she
there as well. Yeah.
I think nature is the most inspiring thing, you know, of all.
Going?
Sorry,
where are you going?
I'm going to be going to the Western Ghats. So we're going to go to Coorg now. We were planning to go to Agumbe earlier, but you know there's some issues with letting people in from Bangalore. So we're going to Coorg and then we're going to travel the coast from there.
There's another observation. You said you don't sleep these days, but you know I'm just thinking of Sahana, Sanjari, all these creative heads don't sleep. Yeah, they don't sleep and they're up in the morning with all kinds of questions and all kinds of value adds. So I'm just wondering, is it a streak in the creative heads to not to sleep? It just came to me. Maybe
That's where the thoughts and the ideas crop up, no? Maybe.
Sleep is for the weak. What is it?
But what is amazing is they function normally the next day.
Yeah. Eyes open. Go
No dark
to class.
circles.
Yeah, go to class.
Oh, look at Sanjari and Yumna, another one.
Yes.
1:30 in the night.
I would like to just.
Can we talk? I said, yeah, wait, let me go to the room at least.
I'd like to.
Yeah, we can stop.
Yeah, let's close our YouTube live.
Dark circles, Swati.
And
what are you doing about them?
I don't know. They're just there.
You know, 1 second.
They're not there.
Sanjay, you want to you can.
all right, so I thank Swati once again for joining us this evening and all of you for joining us and making this such a exhilarating and feeling very happy after this session. So thank you, Swati. Thanks very much.